Hello guys, welcome to Primetech Automotive YouTube channel. I have a 2009 Toyota Kluger here with the V6 engine. The problem was our battery is not charging. Our tested and found the alternator is not charging the battery. It was about 12.3 volt as I remember. So however, this car was breakdown, and the guy who comes to assist him, he has replaced the battery instead of replacing the alternator. So that's how it's ended up with in my workshop. So I'm gonna perform a alternator replacement and then do a charging test on the battery. Keep in touch guys, see the steps. So by looking at it's seems to be pretty hard job, but I've done this before. So these steps I'm carrying out the easiest way that we can do the alternator. So first of all, the main thing you got to do, remove the negative battery terminal, and then you can access to the air ducts which you saw previously, and then I just remove the engine cover. The alternator is in a pretty narrow spot. So what I'm doing now, I just drain the coolant. You don't need to drain the coolant all the way, like just to get rid of some coolant to the level to the top radiator hose, because you need to remove the top radiator hose. So I just drain probably around 2 liters, less than 2 liter. What I'm going to do now, I'm just removing the radiator fan assembly. That way you can access to the alternator bolts, and then you can remove the alternator through the front of the engine. So just disconnecting the wiring harness, and once again there are some vacuum lines to the solenoids. Just be careful when you're removing them, not to break the actual plastics. Then what happens is you won't be able to fit them back. So if you're not experienced mechanic, just doing by yourself at home, just be mindful and be careful with those things. So once you disconnect all the wiring harness, the fan connectors, there you can access to the 10mm bolts on the fan shroud, which is the radiator cowling we call. And now carefully lift that. Do not force too much to the AC hose that you can see here. Alright, now what I'm going to do to access to the drive belt. So on this, I'll give you advice guys, do not remove the drive belt completely. Just release the tension of the tensioner by using 14mm spanner. I have a long spanner, so what I do, I release the tension of the belt and just removing the drive belt only on the alternator pulley. So that's where you save some time. So what I did was I left the spanner on the tensioner and use a cable tie to hold the spanner. Then the tensioner is untensioned and stay on one spot. So, and also remove the drive belt from the alternator pulley. So that's one tip you can use. Now I'm just disconnecting the electrical connectors. So there's one main connector for the alternator, and also the main positive wire, which is held from 10mm bolts. So once you disconnect it, carefully remove all the other connectors, and you can keep the main harness away from the alternator area. So here there's a 14mm bolt on the top, and there's another 14mm bolt on the bottom. And the trick thing is guys, there's one more 12mm head bolt under the alternator, which is holding a wiring harness, that need to be disconnected, otherwise you won't get the alternator out. What I'm doing, I'm just releasing the tension of that bush where the alternator hold, and then push the alternator a bit backward. Then it's easy to access the bottom bolts, which that's where I'm putting my hand in. There's a 12 mil bolt. So once you remove those 3 bolts, there you go. So you have access to remove the alternator out from the engine. So that's the next step. So from this, you don't need to remove the front radiator support or radiator, just need the radiator fan assembly to take it out. So as you saw, just fitting the new alternator back in. So if you're using the genuine part, you can straight fit in, but if you're using aftermarket part, make sure you get the correct alternator, because some aftermarket alternators has different pin styles, the connector styles, that there's no ECU, the engine ECU feed line from the alternator. So if you fit the alternator into this engine, you will see your battery warning light, charging warning light comes on the dash. It is charging, but you will see the warning light. So just be mindful with that one. So make sure you get the correct alternator if you are using an aftermarket part. So here it is, guys. So you need to fit the things back together according to the order what to remove. As you see, I just release the tension on the drive belt and put the drive belt correctly. Make sure you fit in the drive belt correct way on all the grooves. So otherwise, if you start the engine, you will damage your drive belt. So once you finish fitting the alternator and the connectors, everything, now it's time to fit the radiator fan assembly. Just be careful when you insert the fan assembly not to hit the radiator, because it's a sharp edges on the actual plastic housing. I'm just pretty much done with the job, so I'm just fitting the battery. Once I completed everything on the alternator side, now you can fit the positive and negative terminal and finish the job. Now I'm just filling the coolant. I have used about 1.5 liter coolant. I lost about 1.5 liter coolant. So if you drain all the coolant out, I highly recommend to do a coolant air bleed as well. But if you just drain about 1 liter, just top it up. So I just finished everything. Just started the car, and as you see, the driving is okay, and the voltage is 14.16, which is the normal operation.